Hey everybody, before we get into this review, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and when this video is over, leave a comment. It really helps this video with the algorithm. Thank you so much. How's it going, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, and we have our third album review video in a row. This has been a busy month for old school traditional country artists releasing new albums. A couple weeks ago, we had Tracy Lawrence release a brand new album. If you have not watched my review, go check that out. I thought it was pretty good. Then last week, we had a new album from Travis Tritt. I thought it was kind of mediocre. I didn't really think it was that great. Some of y'all disagreed. I got a couple dislikes on that video, so we'll agree to disagree. But the video that y'all have clicked on is for the widely ultra anticipated first album in 5 years, in fact maybe even 6 years, from legendary country singer Alan Jackson. It is his comeback album, and I did a reaction video to a 3-pack of singles that he released about a month or so before the release of the album, and that video, my reaction video, has done super well, far better in terms of first day, first 2 days, first week, first month views compared to all of my other videos. I keep getting views on that all the time, which is crazy. I keep getting likes, I keep getting comments as well, so I thank you guys so much to everyone who liked that video, who subscribed. I gained like 20 something subscribers off that video alone, and thanks to everybody who shared, because I'm sure that video got shared as well, so thank you guys so much. But now it is time for the full review of this album. I'm looking forward to this. I listened to it a few days ago, I took some notes, and we're going to do the same thing that we've done the past few videos with my past few album reviews. I'm going to give every single song a score out of 10. I'm going to tally it all up at the end to give a total points score for the album. Every song is worth 10 points, and then I'm going to adjust that out of 100. So we're going to give it a score out of 100, and we're going to give it, like a letter grade score based on that. So track number 1 is the title track, Where Have You Gone? I already reviewed this. You can go watch my live reaction in that reaction video I did a few weeks ago. I give this a 9 out of 10. Very good opening track. Again, go watch my live reaction if you guys want to see more about that. I'm not going to elaborate too much more on a song I've already reacted to, though, so 9 out of 10 for me. Track number 2 is Wishful Drinkin'. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a solid song. I did think that lyrics-wise, it was weird to hear him say phrases like, I scrolled through my phone, and I scrolled through our old pictures on my phone, is what he says in the lyrics, I believe. Kind of funny to hear him talking about, technology in modern terms. I thought there was good lead guitar, good steel guitar, solid song instrumentally, but the chorus, in my opinion, really is not that great. And also, you're going to see this in my reviews of a lot of these songs. I do think this song could have been shorter as well. It was nearly 4 minutes long, could have easily been just 3, and that's a common thread throughout this album. Is a lot of these songs, in my opinion, are longer than they need to be. Track number 3, I Can Be That Something, another promo single that was released ahead of the album. I think he released like 5 or 6 singles to promote this album, which is a little too much in my opinion. Maybe even like 6 or 7 or something like that. I don't think you need to release a third of the album before it comes out. So this is another single, I Can Be That Something. It was another ballad. That was something that I said in my reaction video. I was very surprised that he was releasing so many ballads as promotional singles. I think it would have been better if he had had a more diverse rollout in terms of song types. So this is like the 4th ballad that was released as a preview single. I really didn't like that much. And this ballad also sounds a lot like Where Have You Gone? And I just wasn't really impressed by it. Good fiddle playing, but also, again, longer than it needs to be. 7 out of 10 for me. Track number 4 is Where the Cottonwood Grows, and finally, this definitely sounds more like old school Alan Jackson. Great lead guitar playing. Good nostalgic lyrics, not the best chorus, but still a very good track. It is also not unnecessarily long. The first track on this album that does not feel unnecessarily long. Track number 5, Way Down in My Whiskey. Already reacted to this one. That was part of the 3-pack of songs that he released ahead of the album. You can go watch my live reaction to that one. 8 out of 10. Track number 6, Things That Matter, was also released ahead of the album. Go watch my live reaction to that one. I thought that out of those 3 ballads, he released those as like a mini EP. I think that Things That Matter was probably the most interesting of the preview singles, because Where Have You Gone was sort of like his lament. Where Have You Gone, talking about country music. Way Down in My Whiskey was kind of a more just traditional old school country ballad, but Things That Matter has a really kind of like ominous, dreary sort of feel to it, and the guitar melody is really, really dark, but still sort of beautiful. And so I actually really liked the vibe of Things That Matter out of those 3 singles. I think it's probably my favorite one. 9 out of 10 for me. I think this one is pretty good. Track number 7, Livin' on Empty. Definitely an awesome intro, super upbeat, twangy guitar, good fiddle accompaniment, exactly what I want to hear from Alan Jackson. Great instrumental jamming, 9.5 out of 10, one of the best songs on this album. Track number 8, You'll Always Be My Baby. This is the first of several sort of personal, like I don't want to say bonus songs, but definitely autobiographical, real life songs that Alan Jackson has written for those that are close to him. This one is one of 2 songs in this album that he wrote for his daughter's weddings. This is another ballad, but it is catchier and more memorable than a lot of the other ballads here, and I like that this one is so personal to him, and that's probably why it's a lot better than the other ones. 8.5 out of 10 to me. Track number 9, another personal track. This one is written for his mother's funeral, Where Her Heart Has Always Been. I really like this one. I like the sort of religious sentiment of this one. 9 points out of 10 for me. This was also released as a promo single ahead of the album. Excellent tribute to his late mother. It's a slow waltz. It's a very lovely and bright song. I really enjoy this one. I think this one is definitely a highlight and a great song to release ahead of the album. Track number 10, The Boot. And by this point, I was like, gosh, like another ballad. Like the first half of this album like has so many ballads on it. It's almost excessive. If you're really into ballads, you'll probably like that. I'm not against ballads, but I definitely don't want 4 or 5 of the first 10 songs on an album to be ballads. You know, that's just excessive. I like the lyrics. It's a good story about hard times and love and relationships, but the chorus is a little weak. 8.5 out of 10 for me. Then track number 11 is a song that I'm seeing a lot of people on YouTube and Reddit really excited about. It's called Back. It's a nice upbeat, twangy country tune. This is the one where Alan Jackson is saying, I'm bringing country music back, and so a lot of people are like, yeah, screw pop country. And so, you know, there's a lot of like hype around this one in particular. You know, maybe it'll get some airplay because of the controversy it'll create or whatever, because Alan Jackson's calling out the industry yet again. I do appreciate the sentiment on that. Of course, I want real country music come back too, but I do think it is a bit silly, and some of you may disagree with this, but I do think it's a bit silly that Alan Jackson is the one singing I'm bringing country back, because for one thing, I don't think Alan Jackson has ever not brought the country. I mean, he's definitely had some more poppy crossover songs like It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, right? But he's always been a hardcore country artist. I don't know what Alan Jackson himself would be bringing back, but also in general, Alan Jackson is at an age and at a point in his career where unfortunately he has been, like George Strait, like Tracy Lawrence and Travis Tritt, the other 2 guys I've reviewed recently, they've been shoved out of Nashville. They're not being played on the radio anymore. They're not really being promoted super highly by the Nashville record labels. So, you know, Alan Jackson is saying, I'm bringing country back here, but, you know, unless this song becomes a major crossover hit and lots of people try to imitate it, I don't really know what impact this song will have on the scene, besides a lot of hardcore country fans just talking about how much they love it. Track number 12 is Write It in Red. Awesome twangy lead guitar intro. Made me smile right away. Good fiddle accompaniment. I really like songs at this tempo. It's kind of around like 110, 120 BPM. Definitely a very good 90s vibe here. One of my favorite songs in the album, 9.5 out of 10. So Late, So Soon. Another ballad, and I did not care for this one. It's about losing track of time and spending the night with a person you love. It's a nice sentiment, but it really didn't catch my ear. It's one of my least favorite songs in the album, 7.5 out of 10. Track number 14. This is a long album, man. We're at track 14 and we're only 2/3 of the way done. This Heart of Mine, 9 out of 10. Very traditional song, great steel guitar. I almost wonder if this is like an old song that was waiting to be cut by him. It sounds like an older song. Track number 15, A Man Who Never Cries. I like this one right away. This one is great. 9.5 out of 10. One of my favorite songs on the album. Nice and upbeat, but very chill, very relaxed, has a very comforting sound. It's unmistakably country. Awesome lyrics about being thankful for his blessings in life. Even though it's a very relaxed song, it's got a really, danceable beat too. Great fiddle, great steel guitar, nice twin guitar melody before the verses. This is definitely one of the standout tracks on this album. Then we got track number 16, Chain, 9 out of 10 points for me. Another good stompin' country tune. This could be a dance song as well. I think we even have like a brief mandolin solo in here, so that sounds pretty cool. You got really like cool like thumping bass in the background as well. Like definitely a pretty solid dance tune in my opinion. Track number 17, I Was Tequila. I dug this song at first, but as the song went on, I actually began to like it less and less. It was like the opposite of a grower. Like I progressively began to dislike the song more and more as the song went on. It's just mediocre, nice lead guitar playing. But the lyrics are kind of, I wasn't really interested in them. And this definitely did not need to be a 5-minute long song. Definitely the most excessively long song on this album. It did not need to be this long. I Do is track number 18, another song that he wrote for his daughter's weddings. Sounds different than the first one, which is pretty cool. This one has sort of like a breezy, beachy vibe, and it is just guitar, piano, and steel guitar as far as the instruments go, which I thought was pretty cool. It's got kind of a stripped back feel, great chorus, and yeah, so I like how these 2 songs that he wrote for his daughters getting married, they're both kind of different, but they have the same sort of message, And this one is really cool instrumentally. Track number 19 is a song that a lot of people were looking forward to. That's The Way Love Goes. It's a tribute to Merle Haggard. It's a cover of an old Merle Haggard classic. He does a really good job here. I think the production on the older one is better, obviously. I don't like modern country production, and I'll elaborate more on that in my final notes on this review. He did Merle Haggard justice here. I think this is a pretty good song. Then Beer 10 is track number 20. With a title like that, like this had to be good, right? So I give this 9 points out of 10. Nice guitar, ultra country instrumentation. It's got lyrics that some may find corny, and the crowd chants in the chorus are definitely kind of silly. I would have left those out personally, production-wise. I didn't really think those needed to be in there. But I can tell that this would be great live, and this probably would have been a hit in the 90s for sure. There's even a horn section, which I would never expect to hear on an Alan Jackson song. That was kind of cool. And then track number 21, the last track on the album, and it is the oldest track on the album, The Older I Get. This was originally released back in 2017, and for a long time it was a standalone single. When he first released this in 2017, people were like, oh, the album's on the way, right? But nothing ever materialized at all. Should have been a massive hit, and in my opinion, it is. It's not only the best song on this album, but it's probably the best song that Alan Jackson has recorded in the past 20 years. I'm serious. That's my opinion. I think it's the best Alan Jackson song in the past 20 years. I think that it's got a great vocal melody, great lyrics, fantastic chorus. It's equal parts solemn, yet optimistic and proud of his accomplishments. It should be considered an Alan Jackson classic, at least of the past 2 decades of his career. And I'm very happy that it finally has a home on the track list of an album. It's a standalone single for a long time, and I was worried that it would just be condemned to that fate of just being a standalone single that would otherwise be forgettable because it didn't chart or anything like that. And so this song is a 10 out of 10. I'm serious. 10 out of 10. I really like this song. It is my favorite song on the album, and I think that the reason, though, that I'm giving it a higher score than anything else on this album is because I'm the most familiar with it. Pretty much all of these scores are based off a first-time listening experience, so, the more I listen to this album, the more my scores might change. I might say, wow, I guess I just didn't really like this song that much, or I guess I underrated that song a little bit. But the reason I am so set in my ways that I love this song and that it's a 10 out of 10 is because I've heard it so many times. It's been out for a few years already, so I've heard it so many times. I'm familiar with the lyrics. I know that I like the song, and so that's why it just stands out to me as the best song on this track list. So the total score is 182.5 out of 210. 210 is from 21 times 10, 10 points for each song, 21 tracks, 210 total points, so 182.5 out of 210. And then the adjusted score out of 100 is 86.9 out of 100. That is just below a B plus letter grades wise. So, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to bump it up. We're going to give this one a B plus. Let's just say 87 out of 100. Okay. So here are my thoughts to sum it up. There are definitely too many ballads on this album. I think there are like 6 or 7 ballads. That's a third of the track list. Some people might disagree with me. Some people really might like ballads as a song type. I'm not opposed to them. There just don't need to be that many on an album. And especially on the first half of the album, a lot of this album is front-loaded with ballads, which I thought was pretty bizarre. I think it probably would have been better to put like the faster, more upbeat songs at the front. And then on top of that, I've seen some disagreement on this. The album did not need to be this long in terms of track list. I think 21 tracks is really excessive. I'm personally very sick of these mega albums that have been coming out over the past few years where artists, in order to boost their streaming numbers for an album, are putting out like 20 to 30 song albums. I think that really ruins the listening experience and makes listening to an album a chore rather than a fun experience. I was getting pretty tired around like the 14 and 15 song mark, so I was definitely kind of relieved that the album was over. It's got a 72-minute running time, over an hour, and so I think that this easily could have been split up across 2 separate albums, or maybe even just a part 1 or a part 2. I think that would have been better than releasing them all as a big package. And here's another thing that I've heard people sort of debating or discussing online. Is this classic Alan Jackson? And I think it isn't. I think that this is a very modern album in terms of production, just in terms of like production values. I don't mean that he's recording bro country when I say it sounds modern. I just mean like in terms of production values, it sounds modern, so it stands opposed to like Don't Rock the Jukebox or something like that, right? So it sounds different production-wise than an old school 90s Alan Jackson album. And there are some very, very good songs on here, and his voice sounds great, but I do think that his age shows just in terms of the songwriting and the sort of vocal style he has now. His voice has actually dropped quite a bit, and so I do think that his age shows on this album. This sounds like an old school, older guy country album. However, that definitely does not mean that it's bad. Again, there are some fantastic songs on here, and as far as old school country acts go, this is probably the best album that any 90s country legend has dropped over the past few years, with the exception of maybe Honky Tonk Time Machine by George Strait. I thought that album was awesome. That's the one that came out in 2019. I think that was a great album. So aside from that George Strait album, this is probably the best album that a 80s or 90s country legend has dropped. A lot of people from Alan Jackson's generation tend to sound tired or even bored when they release new albums, but this album does not sound bored at all. It definitely shows his age, but it doesn't sound bored. There's some great songs. You got the juxtaposition between the ballads and the upbeat, more twangy dance songs. You've got the very personal tracks for his late mother and for his daughters, which I think are fantastic. So all in all, I do think it's a pretty solid album. Definitely lived up to my expectations. Definitely some very good songs on here. Not any songs that I'm, gonna sit here and tell you are instant classics. I think The Older I Get should already be considered a classic. Aside from that, there's nothing that hits me as an instant classic or anything like that. But it's a very good album, and it's above average for what most other guys from his generation are dropping right now. Definitely better than what we've heard of from a lot of country legends recently. So yeah, I think a B+, 86, 87 out of 100. I think that's a pretty appropriate score. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you agree or disagree? What do you think of this album? What are your favorite tracks? And please make sure to like this video and subscribe. Share with everybody. It really helps with the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching.